Welcome to my channel. Try to hear the latest story.
My girlfriend left her phone on the kitchen counter while she showered, and a notification lit up the screen. It was a text from her sister, Mia. Still on track? He's clueless, lol. I shouldn't have picked it up. I'd never snooped before in the 2.5 years we'd been together. But something about the wording made my hand move before my brain caught up. I unlocked it. She'd used my birthday as the passcode for months, a detail she always called cute, and opened the group chat with Mia and her best friend, Sarah. The messages went back weeks. Mia, you're really doing this? Marrying him just for the business? Her, yes. He keeps talking about making me a partner once we're married. 50% ownership, no questions asked. Sarah, girl, that's cold, but smart. The shop is doing insane numbers. Her, exactly. I've put in enough girlfriend time. After the wedding, I wait a year, then file. Half the company, half the profits. Easy. Mia, what if he wants a prenup? Her, he won't. I already cried about it once and he dropped the idea immediately. Said he trusts me completely. Sarah, you're evil. I love it. Her, he's sweet. Just not long-term material. Once I'm set, I'm out. I stood frozen in the kitchen. Steam drifting out from under the bathroom door. Her off-key singing echoing faintly. The woman I'd bought a ring for last month, the one I'd already started imagining kids with, had been counting down to the day she could take everything I'd built and walk away. That I felt the anger rise, hot and sharp, but then something colder settled over it. Calm. Clear. She thought she was the predator here. She had no idea I'd just become something else entirely. That I locked the phone, set it exactly where it had been, and went into the living room. By the time she came out wrapped in a towel, hair dripping, I was sitting on the couch scrolling through my own phone like nothing had happened. Morning, handsome, she said, leaning down to kiss my cheek. Morning, beautiful, I answered, smiling up at her. She had no clue. Her name was Elena, 29, and she'd come into my life right when my specialty coffee roasting business was taking off. I'd opened the first shop 3 years ago, poured every dime and sleepless night into it, and now we had 3 locations, a growing online subscription, and contracts with half the upscale cafes in the city. I was proud of it. It was mine. Elena had always acted impressed, always supportive. She'd helped redesign the branding, came in on weekends to work the counter when we were short-staffed, told everyone how proud she was of her entrepreneur boyfriend. I'd believed her. I'd even started talking out loud in detail about bringing her on as an official partner once we were married. Equal share. No hesitation. Now I knew why she'd encouraged those conversations so eagerly. That afternoon, while she was at her spin class, I drove downtown to see Rachel, the attorney who'd helped me set up the business entity years ago. I laid everything out. The texts, the plan, the timeline. Rachel listened without blinking, then leaned back in her chair. You want to end it now? No, I said. I want her to think she's still winning. Right up until she isn't. Rachel smiled for the first time. Then let's build something she can't break. We spent the next 2 weeks crafting a partnership agreement disguised as the precursor to marriage. It looked generous on the surface. Elena would become a 50% owner of the LLC upon marriage. But buried in the language were clauses Rachel called quiet landmines. If the marriage ended due to her filing for divorce within 5 years, her ownership interest reverted entirely to me. If any fraud, misrepresentation, or bad faith actions were proven regarding her entry into the partnership, she forfeited everything and owed repayment of any distributions received. Legal fees for enforcement would be on her. The document was dense, written to look standard, even protective of her that I knew Elena wouldn't read it carefully. She'd see the 50% ownership headline and stop there. Keeping up the act was harder than I expected. I still cooked dinner with her, still laughed at her stories, still held her at night. Every touch felt like a performance, but I kept my voice warm, my eyes soft. She needed to believe I was still the trusting, head-over-heels guy who'd do anything for her. A week later, I staged the bait. I was in my home office on a call with Rachel. Speakerphone, volume just loud enough. "Yeah, I know it's a lot of pages," I said, pacing so my footsteps carried. "But it's mostly boilerplate. I just want everything clear before the wedding. Elena deserves to feel secure." Pause. "No, I'm not worried about protecting myself. I trust her. This is more for taxes and succession stuff." Another pause. "Look, if it makes her comfortable, we can add that line about a severance package if the partnership ever dissolves. A year's salary or something. Whatever she wants." I heard the floor creak outside the door. She'd been listening. That night at dinner, I brought it up casually. "Hey, Rachel sent over the draft partnership agreement. It's long, but basically it makes you co-owner the day we get married. 50-50 like we talked about." Elena's fork paused halfway to her mouth. "Really?" "Yeah. I figured we'd sign it with the marriage license. Keep everything simple. But if you want to look it over, take your time." She smiled, bright and quick. "No, babe, I trust you. If you say it's fair, it's fair." "You sure? We can add something for you if it makes you feel better. Like a guaranteed payout if we ever split the business." Her eyes lit up just a fraction. "Maybe something small, just so I don't feel totally exposed." "Done," I said, reaching across the table to squeeze her hand. "Whatever makes you happy." She signed 2 weeks later, pen moving fast across the pages, barely skimming. I watched her initial every section, sign the final page with a flourish. She even kissed me afterward. "Thank you for trusting me with your dream," she said softly. I kissed her back. "Thank you for being part of it." Inside, I felt nothing but ice. The wedding planning accelerated. She picked a venue on the waterfront, expensive photographer, live band, designer dress. I paid every deposit without complaint. She started dropping hints to Mia and Sarah about life after the honeymoon phase, talking about how some couples realize they're better apart. I just nodded, smiled, told her I couldn't wait to be her husband. We got married on a perfect Saturday in late spring. She walked down the aisle in white lace, eyes shining, and I stood at the altar feeling strangely calm. When the officiant asked if I took her, I said, "I do," without hesitation, because at that moment I was absolutely certain. The honeymoon was 10 days in Tuscany, her choice my credit card. Vineyards, private villas, Michelin-starred dinners. She posted constantly, captioned everything with hearts and forever hashtags. I played along, arm around her in every photo. Back home, the mask started slipping. She spent more evenings out with Mia and Sarah. Came home later, picked small arguments about nothing, how I loaded the dishwasher, how late I worked. She began sighing a lot, saying things like, "I just need to figure out who I am outside of us." I gave her space. Agreed we could talk whenever she was ready. 4 months after the wedding, she sat me down on the couch one evening. "I've been thinking a lot," she began, voice gentle. "I love you, but I don't think I'm in love anymore. I think we got caught up in the romance of it all and rushed things. I want to separate, amicably." I let my face fall, just enough. "If that's what you need, I won't fight you." Relief flashed across her features. "Really?" "Yeah, we'll keep it clean. No lawyers tearing everything apart." She hugged me then, thanked me for being mature. I hugged her back. The next week we sat in Rachel's office. Elena wore a sleek blazer, hair perfect, clearly ready to negotiate her exit package. Rachel greeted us politely, then opened the folder. Before we discuss asset division, Rachel said, "We'll need to address the partnership agreement signed prior to marriage." Elena frowned. Partnership agreement? Yes, the document granting you 50% ownership in the company upon marriage. Elena laughed lightly. Right, but that was just to make things official. We're divorcing now, so we'll split everything 50-50 anyway. Rachel slid the agreement across the table. Actually, no. Section 14b is quite clear. In the event the marriage dissolves due to divorce initiated by Ms. Torres within 5 years, her ownership interest automatically reverts to Mr. Hale in full. Elena blinked. That's not. Rachel kept going. Section 17 addresses bad faith entry into the partnership. Evidence of premeditated intent to acquire ownership without genuine commitment to the marital partnership triggers forfeiture and potential repayment of distributions. Elena's face went white. Evidence. I spoke for the first time. The text messages. The ones where you laid out your plan to marry me for the business and leave after a year. She turned to me, eyes wide. You went through my phone? No, I said calmly. You left it unlocked. The messages popped up. I made copies. Rachel placed a printed stack on the table. Screenshots. Time-stamped at Elena's hands shook as she flipped through them. Her own words, cold and calculating, stared back at her. This can't be enforceable, she whispered. It is, Rachel said. Multiple attorneys reviewed it. Your signature is on every page. Elena looked at me, pleading now. We can work this out privately. Please. I leaned forward slightly. You wanted half of everything I built. You got exactly what you signed for. She tried to fight it, hired her own lawyer, spent money she didn't have on consultations. Every firm told her the same thing. The agreement was ironclad, the evidence damning. Challenging it would only rack up fees she'd owe. Word spread quietly at first. Mutual friends saw the texts when her lawyer subpoenaed them. Mia distanced herself fast. Sarah stopped responding. Elena's carefully curated Instagram, full of couple photos and #blessed captions, went quiet. She moved out 6 weeks later into a small studio across town. The company stayed mine, untouched. She kept the clothes, the jewelry, the memories. Nothing else that I didn't hear from her for months. Business grew. I hired real partners, people who believed in the vision, not the balance sheet point. One rainy afternoon, I stopped into a little cafe I didn't own for a change of scenery. She was behind the counter, apron on, taking orders. Her hair was pulled back plain, no makeup, name tag slightly crooked. When she saw me, she froze mid-sentence with a customer. I ordered a medium drip, black. She rang it up with shaking fingers. That'll be $4.25. I handed her a 5. Waited for change as she gave it back. She said quietly, I'm sorry. I met her eyes. I know. She swallowed. I really am. I was stupid and selfish and you were. I agreed. But you're not my problem anymore. I took the coffee and left. Outside, the rain had stopped. I walked back to my car, steam rising from the cup, and didn't look back.